am not satisfied in the slightest. I demand more content from you. I demand all the content. Your soul is mine.
Alright, so one thing that I have seen amongst the community is 3-team content as a solution. Now, on paper, this sounds like it might be a good solution. The good faith argument that has been presented is, if MiHoYo were to introduce 3-team content, what that would essentially mean is the rate of HP increases would decrease. And I have a couple of arguments that I want to present against this analogy, as well as the 3-team concept in general. For one, there is no promise that HP increases are going to decrease even with 3-team content. For all I know, they could stay at the same rate. If that were to be true, this would put a lot more pressure on free-to-play players and low spenders. For people who spend a lot of money on Honkai Star Rail, more than likely this won't be that big of a deal. However, for the free-to-plays and the small spenders, they already have a hard enough of a time creating very optimal teams as is. It takes a massive amount of time and a lot of resources. And this is even factoring in if some of these teams would ideally need to have early eidolons to be able to perform at a very acceptable level. Another aspect that I want to bring up as an example is boss design counterplay. Let's talk about Swarog in the Ebon Deer, for example. So with Swarog, he can use the hand as a kamikaze attack on one of your party members. In the Ebon Deer, with one of its branches, once it bears fruit, it can do a super laser beam attack. So for these particular bosses, there was 2 counterplay methods. You could either break the boss, or you could break the hand or the fruit that would lead to the attack. Those were really your options. Of course, you could always just deal enough damage to completely take them out. So let's fast forward to 3.x boss design. Nikador, for example, it doesn't matter if you break Nikador, it doesn't matter if you break any of the spears, the super attack is still going to take place no matter what. The only counterplay to this is taking out enough of the spears to make sure that the super attack is not a party lethal wipe. For the Reaver that we have on the current Memory of Chaos, even if you were to break the Reaver itself, this is not exactly a counterplay move, because you ideally want to take out enough clones to take out the damage reduction buff that it has. By not doing this, the boss still has that damage reduction, which at max is going to be 40%. So you would ideally want to take out the clones. However, taking out the clones by breaking them doesn't do anything. It's not like it's an instant KO. You have to deal out a set amount of damage. I might not be doing a very good job explaining things, but the TLDR is these newer bosses have less room for counterplay than some of our older bosses. And these bosses have the opportunity to do significantly more damage to our team. As time goes by, the boss designs may become more and more restrictive overall, giving less and less flexibility for counterplay. This is a possibility. But let's just say at this point, you're not convinced as a viewer. Let's just assume after what I've said and what I've brought up, you still believe 3-team content is a good suggestion. I got an ace. What if Honkai Star Rail implemented a boss like Kallen? Now, I want to give you a little bit of historical context behind Kallen first before I further explain things. Kallen in Honkai Impact 3rd is a major motivational plot device for a good portion of Part 1's story. She was also made to be a boss. In Memorial Arena, she has full-blown immunity to 3 of the 4 elements of the game. In Honkai Impact 3rd, we have fire, ice, lightning, and physical damage types. She can only take physical damage. So if Kallen was to be implemented into Honkai Star Rail, she would only be able to take physical damage. That means your Sams, your Acherons, your Fei Shaos, your Mighties, your Herdas, your Rappas would be completely useless. She wouldn't be able to take any damage from any of these characters. Now, imagine Kallen got implemented into an environment to where we have 3-team content. And let's just say, hypothetically, she's one of those bosses. Well, what do you do then? You're gonna be cooked as a player, because let's keep in mind a very large percentage of the player base have skipped characters like Argenti and Young Li. They probably wouldn't have a physical option to deal with her anyways, even if Kallen were to take significantly more physical damage to try to balance this out. The point that I'm making is I think a lot of people are used to having numerous options to approaching a situation, but MiHoYo can implement a very restrictive boss at any point in time. And once they implement 3-team content, well, if you don't have the solution to this restrictive boss, you're just cooked. It's always going to be a lot easier to work around these things if somebody only has to build and prep 2 teams at a time. Having to prep 3 teams with potentially very restrictive bosses is not going to be a very good experience for a decent number of players. Now, with that being said, I don't think MiHoYo will go to that kind of extreme as they have with the Honkai Impact 3rd, but it's also not completely off the table. It's better to be prepared for these type of things than to assume that it won't happen. Now, there are certain aspects of Honkai Impact 3rd that I don't think will be implemented into Honkai Star Rail. I don't think that they will implement a permanent type of PvP with Jades locked behind it, because I think this will pit the community against one another, and I don't believe that it's going to be a very good feeling for the player when they know that they have played the game consistently, they're doing everything correct, and they lose just because somebody spent more money than them. That's not going to be a good feeling for a lot of players, and this in itself will cause a good number of players to quit the game. This has also happened in Honkai Impact 3rd, and I believe that this is a big part of the reason why leaderboards and non-direct PvP of this fashion didn't get implemented into Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, nor Zenless Zone Zero. It's something that works out in the short term, but you burn your community over a long-term period, especially in Honkai Impact 3rd's situation where they have implemented numerous bosses where if you didn't have the latest character to deal with that said boss, you were just cooked. You were going to perform significantly worse. Not marginally, significantly worse. So in regards to the Fate collab that will be coming out later on in the year, there is speculation from certain individuals that the free 5-star character would be one of those Fate collab characters, and I could see that being a good possibility, especially if these collab characters are going to be on a limited run, and due to IP licensing issues, they won't ever be able to rerun again. So if players only had to pay out money for one character and maybe like 2 limited super special light cones, I think that would make a lot of the player base happy, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Now, in regards to my own polling plans moving forward, there are 4 characters that I currently have my eyes on. I'm going to be keeping my eyes out on Cypher because she is an ability character. She may or may not work with Acheron. I am going to be keeping an eye out on her for more information to get a confirmation on that. And then there is the Chrysos Hair that plays the violin, who might be a physical T.O.T character. I'm hoping they don't make her a remembrance based character and they just make her straight naility, because I would like to improve on my T.O.T team that I've had, because it's just been Kafka and Black Swan for a hot minute. Then of course there is Finon, and then there is the Honkai Star Rail version of Elysia. So that's 4 characters that I'm keeping my eyes on for the time being, and I'm just gonna manage my resources as best as I can. And of course I'm still going to try to get Ron May's signature light cone at some point. I'm not gonna be able to do that through the battle pass. I think the confusion with that situation has been addressed by various content creators, but for right now, the shards that you need 4 of to get her light cone or one of the other various light cones, it's only going to be through the paid battle passes. Free-to-play players will not be able to access this currency, but MiHoYo may make that change at some point in the far-off future. It's just not going to be an immediate change. With the 3.2 anniversary patch upon us in a couple of days, I am extremely excited because I am going to be getting one of these golden spirit currencies, the same as a lot of other players. I am going to be one of the players who is going to be using it to pick up Locha, more than likely. I've mentioned him in the past, and for me, I do want to complete my Blade team. Now, I don't have a limited sustain on my account at all. I've gone this whole time without having one, so this is going to be a huge improvement to my account personally. For a mass majority of new player accounts, Ron May is going to provide more value, but I also want to provide a little bit of context here. If rather you're a new player or old player, if you're not a fan of Ron May or you're not a fan of Locha, you can always hold on to this currency and just wait till a different character gets added to the pool later on in the future and then use it then. I'm personally of the opinion that we'll probably will get one of these per year as free-to-plays during the anniversary, but of course I could always be wrong. I have been enjoying the Amphoria storyline of 3.1. My intention is to try to get it finished up in the next couple of days, and I'll probably go over my thoughts with 3.1 storyline in more detail in a future video, just so that way everything stays spoiler free in regards to this video. I have been really enjoying the animated shorts that MiHoYo has been doing for Casterus lately, and one final thing that I will mention is they did an animated short. It was called The Kitchen is a Battlefield, the Grand Restaurant. I absolutely love this so much, and it reminded me a lot of Honkai Impact 3rd's Golden Courtyard, New Year's Wishes in Winter. It was just such a nostalgia trip because this is a huge huge callback to like Cooking with Valkyries, the Flame Chaser edition. So I just had a big smile on my face watching the whole thing, and I hope they do turn this into an actual miniseries later on. I would be completely on board with that. If you have taken the time to watch this or listen to this, just want to say thank you so much for your time. You be safe out there. Deuces.
Set in position. Put forth all your might. You are fighting a gentleman. Bear witness to the duel commence.
There's more to life. Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind. Yeah.
Don't get cocky. How's this taste? Keep catching me nice like a good, my friends. Indulge yourselves! Joining the battle. Resonate.
Until everything burns to ashes! Set to the seas of flame! Some value, I suppose. Existence is unity.
Step out of it. Step up, let's see ya.
This is more than a battle. Fight to land!
Rise to the challenge. Confess!
Stay away!
Put forth all your might!
Enjoying yourself? Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind. Set to the seas of flame!
Where's the applause? Let's see some sparks fly! Nice like my friends. Indulge yourselves!
Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind.
That's all you got? It ain't over.
Fight to land!
Rise to the challenge.
Like until everything burns to ashes! Set to the seas of flame!
In the mood for another beating?
Fire fight to land! There's more to life. Eternal.
Small fry. Step up, let's see ya.
Set to the seas of flame!
Rise to the challenge.